this bonsai works. It's healthy. It's stable. It's admired. By most standards, this is successful bonsai. But here's the problem. It doesn't work for the reasons we usually think. Not because the rules were followed perfectly. Not because the design is correct. And not because the tree somehow understands bonsai aesthetics. It works because the tree can tolerate the conditions we impose. That difference matters. This video is not about bonsai techniques. It's not about styling rules. And it's not about saying bonsai is wrong. This is about something more fundamental. About the difference between a system that works on average and a living organism that responds to context. Bonsai rules are abstractions. They come from patterns that succeed often enough to be repeated. Trees don't follow abstractions. They respond to stress. They redistribute resources. They adjust within limits. Sometimes, a bonsai succeeds not because the rules are right, but because the tree is unusually tolerant. And that distinction is rarely discussed. As you watch this, don't ask whether this is good or bad bonsai. Ask a different question. Is this tree thriving because the design is correct? Or because it can absorb the cost of being constrained? That question changes how we see success. And it forces us to look past the bonsai, back to the tree itself. Because before there was bonsai, there was always the tree. Most bonsai rules didn't come from theory. They came from repetition. From what worked often enough. Across certain species. In certain climates. Under certain practices. Over time, those successful patterns were simplified, taught, and passed on as rules. And that made sense. Rules made bonsai transferable. They turned experience into guidance. But there's a quiet shift that often goes unnoticed. Guidance slowly becomes expectation. And expectation starts to sound like biological truth. The problem is not that bonsai rules exist. The problem is what happens when we forget their limits. Rules describe what usually works, not what must work. They are statistical shortcuts, not biological laws. A rule that fits many trees can still misrepresent one tree, because trees don't live in averages. They live in specific conditions, with specific histories, and very specific tolerances. When a bonsai breaks a rule and still survives, It's often treated as an exception, an outlier, something to ignore. But in biology, outliers are not errors. They are boundaries. They show us where a system stops being reliable and starts becoming contextual. A tree that survives outside the rule isn't proving the rule wrong. It's revealing what the rule never accounted for. So the question is no longer whether the rules are right. The real question is what happens when a living tree meets a simplified system. Because trees don't adapt to rules. They adapt to stress, to limitation, to available resources. To understand why some bonsai still work when rules are broken, we have to stop looking at the rules and start looking at how trees respond. Trees don't follow rules. They don't recognize proportions, styles, or design principles. A tree responds to only a few things: light, water, space, and stress. Everything else, every aesthetic rule we apply, exists outside the tree. So when a bonsai survives in conditions that seem wrong, it's not because the tree understands bonsai. It's because its biology allows it to adjust. Many tree species are highly adaptable. They can slow their growth, reduce leaf size, redirect energy. This ability is called plasticity. But adaptation doesn't mean preference. A tree that adapts is not choosing the best condition. It's choosing the survivable one. In bonsai, this distinction is easy to miss, because survival looks stable, and stability looks like success. Some species make this process look effortless. Ficus is one of them. It tolerates root restriction, handles aggressive pruning, and continues growing with minimal visible stress. This doesn't mean the system is perfect. It means the species is exceptionally forgiving. In other words, the bonsai works because the tree is overqualified for the conditions we give it. But even tolerant trees don't adapt for free. Every adjustment comes with a trade-off. Energy used to maintain balance, is energy not used to explore other possibilities. Growth slows. Structure simplifies. Options narrow. The tree survives, but within a smaller biological space. And this is where bonsai often feels successful, while quietly limiting what the tree could become. So when a bonsai breaks the rules and still works, it's not a mystery. It's a biological negotiation. The design sets the limits. The tree decides how much it can tolerate. And what we call success often depends on how much of that cost we're willing to ignore. That's what we need to examine next. In bonsai, success is often defined visually. The tree is alive. The form is stable. The image holds. And for most people, that's enough. But biological success is not binary. A tree doesn't simply survive or fail. It operates along a range of possibilities. What looks successful from the outside may only represent a narrow portion of what the tree can actually sustain. Constraint doesn't always announce itself. There's no obvious damage, no visible collapse. Instead, it shows up quietly, in slowed growth, in reduced structural options, in pathways that are never taken. The tree adapts, but adaptation narrows future choices, and over time, that narrowing becomes invisible, because it feels normal. Tolerance is often mistaken for neutrality. If a tree tolerates a condition, we assume the condition is acceptable. But tolerance only tells us one thing: that the tree can absorb the cost. It doesn't tell us what was traded away in the process. And in bonsai, those trade-offs are rarely visible, because the form still holds. So the question is no longer whether a bonsai works. The real question is, what kind of success we're willing to accept. Is it enough that the tree holds its form? Or should success also consider what the tree is allowed to become? Because once we see success as a spectrum, not a verdict, bonsai stops being an endpoint. It becomes a negotiation. This bonsai works, not because it follows every rule, but because the tree can tolerate the limits placed on it. That doesn't make the bonsai wrong, but it reminds us of something important. Rules help us design. They help us repeat success, but they don't explain the tree. And when we confuse repetition with understanding, we risk mistaking tolerance for alignment. Before there was bonsai, there was always the tree, a living system, responding to light, space, and constraint. Bonsai doesn't change that biology. It only changes the frame through which we choose to see it. And the moment we place the tree before the bonsai, different questions begin to matter. If this way of looking at bonsai resonates with you, this channel explores more of these questions. Not how to shape trees, but how to understand them. In the next episode, we'll look at what happens when we ask the wrong question entirely, because sometimes the problem isn't how we design the bonsai, it's what we choose to value in the first place.